Simplifying rational numbers today. So using those same numbers from yesterday. So any whole numbers, positive or negative, any fractions, positive or negative. So that also includes decimal numbers as well. So pretty much all numbers, we're going to be talking about how to simplify them when we have different positive and negative signs. So when you are multiplying with a positive and negative, here are some rules to follow. So when you are doing a negative times a positive, no matter the order, it is always going to end up negative. Whether you do a negative times a positive, it's negative, or a positive times a negative, they're negative. So anytime you have one of both, a positive and a negative sign, the answer when we multiply will always be negative. That negative is going to win in that competition. When we have two of the same thing, it's always going to end positive. So a positive number times a positive number is always going to be positive. Like 3 times 4 is 12. Those are all positive numbers. And if we have a negative times a negative, kind of sounds backwards, but it's actually going to end up being positive. It's kind of like if you said, I can't not go to the store. That means you have to go to the store. I can't not go means you're going. So it's a positive statement. So a double negative, when you times them together, is actually positive. So the rule to remember is if you have one of each, the negative wins. If you have two of the same thing, the answer is going to be positive. So let's go ahead, use our rules, and try some of these out. So our first one here, we have a negative times a negative, right? Parentheses means times, so negative times negative. They're the same. Our answer should end positive. So this answer would be positive 3/5. So go ahead and try this one here. So a negative times a negative is positive 4. Let's try the next one. So we have a negative times a positive. If there's nothing there, we assume it's positive. So we have one of each. So that means our answer should be negative. So this one is going to be negative 1 3/4. So go ahead and try this one. We have a negative and a positive. So that makes it negative 2.5. Okay, moving on, we have a negative times a negative. So two of the same thing always ends positive. So we're ending with 1 2/5. Here we have negative times negative. So go ahead and try that one. That ends with a positive. Two of the same is always positive. And our last ones, we have a negative times a positive. Two different ones becomes negative. So negative 4/7. Here we have a negative and a positive. Go ahead and try that one. Negative and positive, when they're different, the negative wins out and we end with negative 5/8. Okay, so I know that might be a little confusing. So I'm going to share this page in our Google Classroom as well. So come back and refer to it and check if there's a negative and a positive, you're going to end with negative. If you have two of the same thing, you're going to end positive. Hey, let me know if you have any questions.